怒りに燃える闘志があるなら巨大な敵を撃てよ撃てよ撃てよ正義の怒りをぶつけろガンダム機動戦士ガンダムガンダム
It is the year 0079 of the Universal Century. The war between the Federation forces and the Duchy of Zeon rages on. Over half of the population of Earth has been killed by the total war between the two factions. The deciding factor? A new weapon called the Mobile Suit. The Mobile Suit was more agile in space than a fighter, carried weaponry on par with a small warship, and more than that, it was an effective terror weapon. The first Mobile Suit seen in the series was the MS-06 Zaku II. But as the model number might infer, it was not the first mobile suit to be produced. The first one designed for the Principality of Zeon by their state-owned Zeonic company was the MS-03 prototype Zaku, officially at least. This was followed by the MS-04 prototype Zaku, which included the new Minovsky fusion reactor, which for the sake of brevity was a quote-unquote clean nuclear reactor, the first of its kind in the Gundam series. The prototype Zaku was stripped down into the MS-05B Zaku, a much simpler machine that carried a 100mm machine gun. While this sounds like an impressive weapon, it was deemed unfit for anti-ship combat. By the time the Zeon War for Independence began, the Zaku II was rolled out for combat against the Federal forces, which consisted mostly of traditional warships. The mobile suit itself grew out of the Mobile Pod, a machine that was primarily used for construction. The only one redesigned for warfare was the RB-79 Ball, which was known by Federation pilots as the Mobile Coffin. It was refitted from space pods with extra armor and an 180mm cannon, which kept the pilots alive for maybe 1 or 2 seconds longer than without. It was a stopgap measure at best until the RGM-79GM, or GIM, could be produced in numbers. The Mobile Pod gave rise to proper mobile suits like the Zaku, which would lead to the development of Project V for the Federation, and then to the Gundam itself. The V project would produce 3 prototype mobile suits: the RX-75 gun tank, the RX-77 gun cannon, and the RX-78 Gundam. The gun tank itself was a refinement of the RTX-65 gun tank, but neither could properly be called mobile suits. They were developed from the RTX-44 to replace the aging main battle tanks that the Federation was using, but once tensions started escalating, it became clear that it was not going to be enough. The torso didn't turn, the close-range weapons weren't powerful enough, and it performed poorly in space, where the majority of the coming war was likely to happen, so efforts were turned elsewhere. The gun tank was redesignated as a heavy artillery unit and folded into the V project as a support platform. The gun cannon seen in the series was actually a stripped-down version with higher mobility and less armor than the original RX-77-1, which was originally designed to be what the Gundam ended up as, a balanced, high-mobility weapon. While it was closer to what the Federation was looking for, high mobility and heavy weaponry, it underperformed in the mobility sector so badly to get redesignated as a support machine as well. The Gundam itself has such a storied production history that it really deserves its own segment, so tune in next time to learn more about the main machine of the series and where it came from. Coming back around to the Zeon, we talked in a prior episode about what the Principality of Zeon did to get itself to this point, but we only lightly touched on the players. Starting from the top, Dagon Soto Zabi had been sitting ruler of Zeon for 10 years, and as they say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. By the time we see him in the series proper, he's been beaten down by this war. The tipping point for him comes when his youngest son, Garma, is killed in battle by the Federation's new Trojan horse. All those years of fighting has finally soured in the man, and now all he wants is peace. Giran Zabi, his megalomaniacal son, however, thinks he can still win the war with superior technology and righteousness. Indeed, when his father compares him with Adolf Hitler, a notion that would have resonated very strongly with the post-war youth and young adults of Japan, he almost takes it as a point of pride. This pridefulness is what will ultimately see him getting killed, though some of the video games based on Gundam bear his name as an alternate version of Gundam history. Fascinatingly enough, it is not the Gundam that does Giran Zabi in, but his own sister. Kycilia Zabi, the only daughter of the Zabi family, is every bit the scheming, conniving wretch that her big brother is, but with a key difference. She has a modicum of conscience. While Giran is probably the smartest man in the Gundam universe, it comes at the expense of human decency. While he can whip his troops into a fervor to fight and die at his behest, it's all a clever ploy, like many dictators before him. Cassilia, on the other hand, is a more practical sort of warlord, and handles much of the Earth campaign as the Zeon are slowly pushed out of North America by federal forces. Dozle Zabi, a mountain of a man by anyone's reckoning, is strangely a sort of gentle figure. His final act before taking out to fight the feds in his Big Zam mobile armor is to send his wife and infant daughter away from Solomon, one of Zeon's asteroid fortresses. In spite of that, he's driven into a murderous rage by his encounter with a Gundam, even getting out of his machine to face the federal suit. This leads to his own death as Mobile Suit beats Ground Trooper any day of the week. Tragic, perhaps, but foolish as well. Garma Zabi, finally, the most handsome and noble-hearted of the Zabi family, is the first to die at the hands of the Gundam. But more specifically, he gets set up by his friend and Zeon ace pilot, Char Aznable. While a sense of tragedy could be ascribed to this, it is also telling of the character of the main antagonist in Gundam Legend, the Red Comet. His motivations are broad and far-reaching, and like the Gundam he battled, he deserves his own segment. If it's any consolation to Char, his Zabi kill count is still higher than Amuro's. Tune in next time when we look at the Gundam itself and the man that battled it.